Good morning. Today I have the privilege of chatting with the very, very lovely Sharon Pierre, who I've known for a few years, and our daughters are best friends. So, Sharon, do you want to just briefly introduce yourself?
I'm Sharon Pierre, and otherwise mainly known as Honey's mum, but yeah, originally Chris and Sharon. I've been coming to Life Church probably about 5 or 6 years now, and I've the privilege to know you, Emma, for this time, and our girls are best buddies, so that's great.
But Sharon, I was wondering if you would just tell us a little bit about how you came to faith.
My mum and dad, if you ask them about their faith, they'd just say, well, we're Church of England, but we never actually went to church. I did go to a church school, but very little sort of things done round about faith. I do remember though, when you asked me this question, I was probably about 13, and for some reason I decided to take myself off to church every Sunday on my own, and I'd just sit there at the back of church thinking, so maybe God was pulling me even way back then, but nothing more came of it. Probably for me, my sister went to uni and became a Christian, although, I thought she'd joined some mad cult. She seemed very happy and got lots of friends. So that was my first introduction to faith. I went along with her, and she'd cod me into things like going for lunch and actually would be on March for Jesus somewhere or whatever. She was quite funny at influencing me. And my first sort of interest was we went to her church, and her friends, I couldn't quite place where they were from, so I said, Bev, where are your friends from? I don't quite understand that language they're speaking. And she said, oh, Sharon, they're praying in tongues. So that kind of got my interest, like, oh, what's this? So anyway, twists and turns as life takes you. And I remember probably the next biggest thing, which is not a great thing, is being really angry, thinking, if there is a God, why is my life such a mess? And why am I getting a divorce, and why is everything so bad? So I got quite angry at faith, really, or God, which obviously we always look back and regret. And then I suppose the next time I had an encounter with God was in a dream form, which I know definitely wasn't from me because it was so surreal. I don't know if any of you remember the Teletubbies and the lovely baby face that popped up, and God said, Sharon, this is your baby, and she's called Honey, because at the time I was pregnant and not really having a good time. But that was just amazing, and from then on, very, very slow steps towards faith. My sister still went to Ichthus Fellowship in London and invited me to Revive, which is their big camp. And unbeknown to me, my sister and her husband had been praying that I would ask and not be invited. So I didn't know all of that till after the event. You and your prayers, wheeling you in. But anyway, so we went to Revive, and I was perfectly happy, nice camping trip. And the speaker there was a guy called Carlos Anacondia. And then on the third day, he did an altar call. And before I kind of knew what I was it wasn't definitely a thought thing, it was a heart thing. And I was at the front being prayed for. And that was my most wonderful encounter with God, that I was filled with the Holy Spirit. Vroom, I went over, and I was in this beautiful place of peace and love and tranquility that I didn't want to come out of. And looking back, I think now I realise that God knew all of those heartbreaks, all of that upset, all of that hurt. Even when you don't tell anybody, God knows about it all. And I had the most tremendous sense of healing and peace and love. So straight after that was in the August, my sister, I said, I knew I had to go to church. I knew I couldn't leave this. For me, it was so completely real, this encounter with God, that it wasn't a choice. This was what I knew. This wasn't a story. This was real to me. And so then my sister found a contact who knew a church in Manchester, which was Life Church.
Well, we're very pleased to have you.
Yeah.
So obviously that's quite a journey. In the little bit of time that we've got left, do you want to just tell us a little bit about this year, perhaps? Because obviously you're a businesswoman and you have your own beauty salon. I know that that's a big, big part of your life, but obviously this year has been really something else. So how has
Yeah,
your
it
faith
has.
impacted how you've experienced all the lockdowns and all the stuff with your business this year?
I've had a business for quite a while, and normally I'll be really worried about closure. God's just had his hand on it. There's been no fear. I've just trusted that God would do whatever this business was meant to be like, or who I am in this business, or where I'm meant to be. So there's been no fear attached to it, which financially there should be, because it's been a really difficult time. But through it also, it's given me an amazing opportunity to speak to clients. I'm on a one-on-one with a lot of people, and they do share. I've known some of these people for years and years. So I'm very privileged that, I'm in an intimate space where people do tell me their fears, and it's given me a chance to actually, for me to say, fear comes from not knowing or understanding, and when you trust and believe in who God is and who Jesus is in your life, that fear goes, that fear is taken away.
Do you know what, Sharon? It's just really lovely to see God at work in your life, and thank you for sharing a little bit of that with us.
My pleasure.